Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Better Life with Dr. Pinkston. I'm Dr. Marianne Pinkston, and I am back today with Dr. Carolyn Dean, one of my favorites to be on the show, and one of yours too, because we tease apart a lot of great topics. We've talked much about magnesium and Candida and, topics people are very, very interested in and looking for more information. This is the right place to go for it. But today we're going to talk a little bit about sugar. Sugar is, I think there's so much confusion about sugar. The industry uses it widely in high fructose corn syrup. And now I think the nuance is cane sugar. Still trying to paint a beautiful picture of sugar. Although glucose isn't always bad, it isn't always good. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Again, Dr. Carolyn Dean, it's always such a pleasure to have you on. Welcome back.
Thank you, Marianne. Of course, call me Carolyn.
Carolyn, absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate that. And so out in Hawaii, beautiful Hawaii, how are things out there?
Just gorgeous. I'm so blessed to live. I'm in Maui, and I just have an incredible life here. I run a 30,000 square foot warehouse in North Carolina by my phone, and I have incredible people who are there. And here, what I did here, Marianne, I don't know if we talked about this. I fully fund a 46-acre organic biodynamic farm because food is so important.
Yes.
And what I know about the farm, the fruits and vegetables, herbs that we grow, we have chickens, we sell eggs, and I can't live off just farm food. Right. I have to have an animal food diet, and I need that protein. So I learned that. Yes. And I also learned that you can't just eat fruit, even though it's so delicious. Right. So that's where the sugar part comes in.
Absolutely.
When I moved here, and now it's about 18 years, I started eating too much fruit, gained fruit weight, and really looked into the fructose, the sucrose, which is table sugar, the glucose, which is blood sugar. And it's two different worlds. Right. We have to have glucose in order for our brain and our body to function. Glucose goes into the mitochondria, into the Krebs cycle, and fuels our energy production. Mm-hmm. And then what I realized, looking at that biochemistry, is ATP doesn't work without magnesium.
Right.
ATP is really ATP-MG. So that's where my love of magnesium comes in.
Yes.
And then when you look at, how does the body metabolize like table sugar, fructose, and all? Glucose requires, I think it's 26 molecules of magnesium in order to metabolize it. Wow. Fructose requires twice as much.
Wow.
Twice as much. So fructose takes more energy. It does things in the liver, like transforming into triglycerides. I remember Dr. Mercola years ago in his early newsletters, he talked about his triglycerides just skyrocketing. He moved to Hawaii at one point, and he got into the fruit. Yes. Okay. Then there's high fructose corn syrup, which is Dr. Robert Lustig. He went heavily into the problems with high fructose corn syrup. He's a pediatric endocrinologist, I think out of UCLA, one of the California universities.
Yes.
And he said his patients, his children, were so obese, and they were drinking all these so-called natural sodas sweetened with fruit sugar, high fructose corn syrup.
Yep.
So we've got all this information, but I usually go back to the history back in the 70s. The sugar researchers were proving that sugar was harming our heart. Mm-hmm. It was causing heart disease. And the sugar industry got just totally freaked out, and they decided to blame fat.
Right.
So that's where the cholesterol horrors came about. And it turns out now we're realizing cholesterol is not horrible. We need it for all our hormones. Oh, as a matter of fact, LDL cholesterol is not so bad.
Right.
So the sugar, heart, and cholesterol business, you can tell that story now because sugar and vitamin C compete on insulin to transport into the cells. So glucose rides on insulin, and so does vitamin C, ascorbic acid. Mm-hmm. And if you have more than 2 teaspoons of sugar, blood sugar, glucose in your bloodstream at any one time, the body freaks out and it tries to push that sugar into the cells, because if you keep sugar riding around in your bloodstream, it binds up to proteins and causes aging glycation molecules. So, wow, let's get rid of the sugar. But that sugar, if it's like 10 teaspoons of sugar in a can of soda, 20 teaspoons in a milkshake, you're downing that. Your body's going crazy, pushing all this insulin out to pull the sugar into the cells, and it will bump off the vitamin C. Vitamin C is vital to bring into the cells to deal with the metabolic waste products of the sugar being created or creating the ATP.
Right.
And the metabolic waste products, there's many steps in the Krebs cycle. And if you don't have an antioxidant like vitamin C, the waste products build up. And you don't get vitamin C making collagen. Right. Collagen is necessary for the endothelial lining of our blood vessels.
Yes.
Well, collagen makes up 1/3 of our body's protein. 1/3. You don't have vitamin C, you don't make collagen, you get scurvy. You know, people of my age have bruises up and down their arms, and they have bleeding gums. That's scurvy.
Yeah.
So when you don't have proper endothelial, strong endothelium, you get little nicks and tears, and that becomes an area where cholesterol puts a Band-Aid on the tear. And then if you don't have enough magnesium, that means there's more calcium floating around in the bloodstream, because magnesium, it solubilizes calcium and puts it into the bones.
Right.
So lack of magnesium, too much calcium, that calcium will precipitate into that cholesterol, and that's your atheroma. That's heart disease.
Yes.
Isn't that amazing?
It is amazing, completely. And really simple, put very simply for great understanding. And that collagen is also in anti-aging and so many other factors. And so we is very, very important. And so why are people so confused about sugar? I mean, there's many aspects of it. We are addicted for one thing, but when we read a label, and we read about carbohydrates and sugars and what types of sugars, and the industry just keeps switching from one to another. They don't really address sugar in itself. They just switch types that are still dangerous. But why is there so much confusion?
It makes things taste good, and you can sell things that taste good better than you can sell healthy foods that don't taste so sweet. It really is all the marketing. Yeah. And kids getting sweetened. Don't they sweeten bottle formula with corn syrup?
Yeah.
I remember that from one of my little sisters. Oh my gosh, pour in this sugar. So we get addicted to sugar very early on. And didn't Abram Hoffer say that sugar is the most addictive substance on the planet?
Absolutely. Next to nicotine.
Yeah, it opens the door to all the other addictions. And okay, so why are we getting addicted? I say we're getting addicted because we don't get the nutrients anymore from our food.
Right.
And also because with the sugar, with antibiotics killing off good and bad bacteria and all the things that make yeast overgrow, the yeast becomes the Borg. Maybe people don't remember Star Trek, but the Borg has a hive mind that craves whatever. So yeast is a Borg, and it craves sugar. So we just are addicted to sugar. Yes. But what I find, as we talked about before, I have a dietary supplement company. I find if you take the basic nutrients, food-based, organic, vitamins, and picometer size stabilized mineral ions, you get the nutrients that your body is really craving.
Right.
And over again, our customers say, "Oh, I don't have my cravings." They even say, "I really not attracted to alcohol or cigarettes or coffee. I'm getting my energy from my magnesium."
Yeah.
So this was proven to me I think it was a Dr. Bell. He did a study a few years back on ultra-processed food. It's the only study out there if you want to search that. And he put a number of people, it wasn't that many people in a hospital clinic or whatever. Yeah. And they stayed for, I think it was a month. Wow. And he fed half of them ordinary, horrible diet in my view, and the other just ultra processed, potato chips and everything, I imagine. So they were shocked at the end to find that the ultra processed wing, they ate 500 calories a day more than the standard food. And it's like, oh, I don't know why that is. And I was in a conference and I think I didn't do it in public, but I spoke up to one of the researchers and I said, well, that's because people crave nutrients. And so they keep eating to try to find those nutrients in the food, and they gain weight because it's empty calories. And it was like shock. She started to diss me, but anyway.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So
you're so right. Absolutely. You're so right.
Yeah. So there's this, these cravings, the fact that we don't have the nutrients and we really need them. I mean, we're in such bad shape now as a community and a culture. And, I agree with a lot of what the MAHA group is trying to do, make America healthy again, taking out the food dyes and the coloring for flavorings. It's a tiny start, but it's a good start. And
it has good direction.
Yeah.
Agreed. So you are writing. You have written one book now and have two others coming about sugar. Tell us about that.
Right. Well, actually, I started a sugar book back in the late 80s. Mm-hmm. And I got on, up in Canada, I got on national TV before Christmas one year. It might have been 1989. And I talked about sugar. They wanted me to talk about sugar. I probably told them I was writing a book on sugar. Yeah. I hadn't finished it. So it was a Christmas show. There were a lot of kids in the audience. So I brought my props and I said, there are 10 teaspoons of sugar in a can of soda. And, they filmed the kids all wide-eyed, and the 20 teaspoons in a milkshake.
Yeah.
My College of Physicians and Surgeons came after me.
I'm sure.
For saying bad things about sugar.
Yeah.
So this is how bad it was. This is back, as I said, in the late 80s. In the 70s, they started doing the research about sugar is bad. It was suppressed by the sugar lobby groups or sugar industry. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until, I think it was 2014, just 10, 11 years ago, that they started realizing, oh my gosh, sugar's not so good. I think Dr. Robert Lustig and his incredible videos about high fructose corn syrup, he called his video The Bitter Truth. Yeah. And a lot of people started coming out. Now it's just saturating the podcast world. Sugar is poison. Oh, you can't take any of it. So there, and the carnivore people got into it too.
Yeah.
Because they're saying, well, we quit sugar, nobody should eat it, and it's bad for you. And that promoted their diet. But what I see, just as a sidebar here, in the carnivore world is they'll say, yeah, I'm great on just meat, eggs, and butter. But as soon as I have even a piece of fruit, all my symptoms come back.
Absolutely.
You know what they're dealing with is yeast overgrowth.
Interesting. Yes.
So they've been treating their yeast overgrowth with the carnivore diet, not realizing they have yeast. Now, yeast, it's normal in the large intestine. It'll stay there happily doing its job. It has a function. We won't get into that. But if you kill off the good and bad bacteria, through your GI tract and your small intestine, yeast will sense the vacuum and start growing up into your small intestine. And the cute little budding yeast in your large intestine becomes thread-like mycelial yeast that scrapes and pokes into your small intestinal lining. And I'm saying that's what creates leaky gut. There are other things, but I think that's huge. And when you starve, I tried it. I had yeast from my birth control pill, mercury fillings, vaccinations, high sugar diet. I tried starving yeast for 10 years, and anytime I'd go off my diet, I would get my symptoms back. So I know what it's like. So what the carnivores have to do is go, well, I, of course, had to make natural antifungal treatment for myself, and I have that in my store now. And I use my picometer silver. And those two things have allowed me to, I'll eat my dessert, I'll eat my fruit. I make a chocolate pudding. It's ripe avocados, half a ripe banana, cacao powder, like a couple of ounces, coconut cream, and maybe a bit of vanilla. You blend that up, and it's an amazing chocolate pudding.
Nice.
And I'll put some fruit in it too. So I keep my sweets. But actually, we were talking about my first book is Exposing Sugar Toxicity, and that's on Kindle and Amazon now. But it's a trio. The third book is going to be recipes, and we're not putting any desserts in it because
no. Oh, well, it just sounds wonderful. I think the recipes will be an amazing addition. People need guidance. Was reading some social media this morning, and and I've been in and out of doctors' offices, and everybody makes a recommendation about the changes maybe that you need to consider and make, but nobody tells you how. And what is the best way to make those changes? And the other thing too is, when I think the industry finally started to incorporate the fact that, sugar is bad, and in trying to go with what the public is demanding, they added artificial sweeteners, right? And now we have a deluge of artificial sweeteners that we're addicted to as well and need to stop. Why are artificial sweeteners bad?
Well, they're poisons, a lot of them. You look at aspartame. It's got 2 amino acids that are bang on. What are they? They damage the nervous system. I forget. Russell Blaylock talked about in one of his books excitotoxins, the taste that kills. So aspartame, for example, has aspartic acid. And the amino acids in aspartame can break down into something that resembles formaldehyde.
Yes.
And they've done an incredible number of studies to show the dangers of it, but somehow the FDA passed it. There's a lot of politics involved.
Yes.
Somebody in the government who pushed it through then got a job with Searle, drug company. And that's happening even today.
Yes.
So the toxicity factor of these synthetics has not been researched like the NutraSweets. There's tens of thousands of products that have these toxins in them, and they'll be sugar-free products, they'll say.
Yes.
And they lead people to believe that they're healthy because they're sugar-free, but they have this toxicity. What I did in a couple of my products needed sweetener, like my protein powder, and we use stevia.
Yes.
Stevia years ago used to be bitter and oh my gosh, but they've really come a long way with stevia. And I think it's very useful. And actually, I recommend a stevia sweetened soda called Zevia, Z-E-V-I-A, to put it. I have a little bit in my mineral water just to give it enough of a taste that covers up the density of the minerals, because minerals taste like minerals. And this is too strong, I can't take it. Well, put something in it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. And stevia is a good one. And so there have been many who have said that, stevia is another toxic substance, but I've reviewed as much of the literature as I can. And I don't see it yet. And, we all need, I think, a little pleasure in our lives. If we could get away from it altogether, it'd be great. But I think we do need a little pleasure in our lives. Stevia, what about monk fruit? Sometimes I'll do a mixture.
Yeah. Right. Monk fruit is what my farm is using and sweeten our jams. Allulose, sugar alcohol, is being touted now as not causing any insulin spikes. But I think with the stevia studies, what they tend to do is use enormous amounts in mice and rats and then say, oh, see, it's bad.
Right.
Whereas when you look at the percentage amount of stevia in a supplement or like in my protein powder, it's very minuscule. Right. So it's the dose that matters. I mean, you can drink water and kill yourself if you drink too much.
Yeah.
So it is all about the dose. But anyway, I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, not at all. Those are two that I think are commonly more used now, more widely used, that I think are relatively safe. So people have something to rely on. And so with sugar, though, I know Warburg back in the 30s, I think it was Hitler who actually almost coveted Warburg, was so afraid to get cancer. And Warburg had made that association between sugar and cancer, even that far back. And so, there are so many different diseases now, I think, that are linked to a high sugar intake. I'm jumping off the sweetener, the artificial sweetener boat now, back on sugar. But I think, cancer and heart disease, dementia, many things that those are the top three, I think, that fear most people. And so, high link, right, between all of those.
But we go back to vitamin C.
Yeah.
The vitamin C story, we started with the collagen and all that.
Right.
But why we are so affected is because humans cannot produce their own vitamin C.
Correct. Right.
So we're in a situation where we need, Linus Pauling says, 8-10 grams of vitamin C a day, and we're not producing any. Mice and rats, who they're doing this research on, produce their own vitamin C. So I don't trust any mice and rat studies because of that.
Makes sense.
And what we know about cholesterol and vitamin C is in animals that produce their own vitamin C, they have little to no lipoprotein A. Right. Now, LPA is now the bad guy in heart disease, and it may very well be. They have never decreased the rate of heart disease with statins. Right. So we've got to just give up on statins, but they won't give up on cholesterol. They, it's lipoprotein A, LP little a, they call it. Right. And what I know, because actually right now I'm writing a book on vitamin C, and what we know is that animals who make their own vitamin C don't have lipoprotein A. Wow. Humans primates like apes and monkeys and humans and guinea pigs don't make vitamin C, and we have lipoprotein A.
Interesting.
And but they say the lipoprotein A has some of the functions of vitamin C. Yeah. Lipoprotein A is a wound healer. It's a bit of a blood clotter. Yeah. And not that vitamin C is a blood clotter, but if you don't have vitamin C, you bleed. So they do the function, one does the function of the other. Mm-hmm. If you don't have vitamin C, then the body says, well, you have to have some lipoprotein A to create those blood clots to stop the vitamin C deficiency, collagen weakness in your endothelium tissue of your arteries. It is so brilliant. Who was brilliant about this is Linus Pauling.
Yes.
So Linus Pauling, who we will just say, oh yeah, he talks about vitamin C for the common cold and all that. Isn't that sweet? No, he was working on heart disease. Right. And his work was suppressed, not funded, nobody paid attention. And yet you have incredible doctors out there. And I've interviewed them on my podcast around the COVID years. I interviewed these vitamin C doctors. Yeah. They use high dose intravenous vitamin C and create miracles every day.
Yes.
And I would have thought, because I read Linus Pauling, I've been at this for 55 years. So I knew about Linus Pauling's work. And I would have thought by now, every hospital would have an intravenous vitamin C ward.
Right.
Where everybody was on an IV drip. And it's like, nobody even think, oh, yeah, why not? Yeah. But we don't. And it's horrifying. I think people still have to go to Mexico, or maybe there are places in Europe to get any sort of alternatives for serious disease. So, we're in bad shape. And that's why I say getting rid of a few dyes and high sugar in kids' foods, it's minuscule compared to what I envision is hospitals that do intravenous vitamin C.
Yeah, well, we will start somewhere, I think. And so we are needing to take a short break, but I want to come back and talk a little bit more about types of vitamin C and dosing and things like that. And so if you will give some information about where people can find you and find your book and all, they will be on the website. But if you could give us a little bit of information, that'd be great.
Okay. Yes, my educational website is drcarolyndean.com. And my store website is rnareset.com. And you can find my books on Amazon. I have a lot of books and a lot of webinars. I have a YouTube channel. I have a Monday live radio show. So I just won't give up.
I don't know how you do it and keep track of it all, but I'm so glad you do. And so you can go to drpbetterlife.com and find all this information. In our past shows, Dr. Dean and Carolyn has been on a few times with us as well. So you can find that, drpbetterlife.com. We're going to look at Magna Pharmaceuticals very quickly and their de novo product. And so stand by. We'll be right back.
Depression, anxiety, low energy, weakness, these are just some symptoms of low B12 levels. And the absorbable B12 folate supplement that's helping people declare victory over depression symptoms is De Novo Plus B12 by Magna Pharmaceuticals. Patients with symptoms of depression often exhibit low levels of folate and vitamin B12. The human body needs sufficient folate intake to produce the essential neurotransmitters serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine. These neurotransmitters alleviate feelings of sadness, anxiety, and gloom. What makes De Novo Plus B12 so successful? De Novo Plus B12 contains readily absorbable folate and B12. That means it's more successful at correcting the root cause of your deficiency, not just the symptoms. Whether you are suffering with low energy, depression, fatigue, or anxiety, you owe it to yourself to learn more at magnaweb.com. That's magnaweb.com. Please let us know at checkout that you heard about De Novo Plus B12 on The Better Life with Dr. Pinkston.
All right. Thank you, Magna, for all your help. Dr. Warren Lesser will be on in a couple weeks here. So, and we are with Dr. Dean today, Carolyn Dean. We're talking about all sorts of things, but trying to focus on sugar and how sugar is bad for us. And it's something that I think most people know, but really don't understand why. So I'm hoping we're clarifying this for you. We were talking a little bit about vitamin C and the importance, but there's so many different types out there and dosing and lots of advice. So clarify for us how to appropriately take vitamin C.
Well, there was a time, Marianne, where I thought we had to have B complex from food sources.
Right.
So food-based vitamin C, like a capsule. And then when I was reading back in the mid-2000s, where are we? Like 2011, 2013, a number of vitamin C books came up. Dr. Thomas Levy's book, and he talked about vitamin C as a cure for heart disease. There's a new book out right now on intravenous vitamin C for cancer. And I realized, well, they're not using organic vitamin C there, because anything organic in your IV is dangerous. Yeah. The body reacts against it. So they're using ascorbic acid.
Yeah.
And I asked Dr. Levy, what's the difference between food-based and ascorbic acid? And he said, well, the body of animals that produce vitamin C, their bodies produce ascorbic acid. It's the chemical structure is ascorbic acid. And I guess the proof of it working, the IV vitamin C ascorbic acid, is I'm sure there's been millions of grams of IV vitamin C given. And as I said, there's miraculous cures. There's no kidney stones. There's no side effects. And they say vitamin C is better intravenously to absorb, but I've seen patients who've been able to take 20 and 30 grams of vitamin C orally if they space it through the day.
Yeah.
And to me, there are some studies that say, no, IV is better, but the body can usually figures things out. And I think if you take too much vitamin C orally, you will get a laxative effect.
Okay.
But if you space it through the day, I just put it, like my minerals, put it in a jug of water, stirred up, ascorbic acid with some baking soda to neutralize the acidity.
Yep.
Then you can drink it through the day, which to me makes more sense than maybe an IV every 2 or 3 days, where the vitamin C shoots up and then it comes down.
Makes sense.
You're drinking it through the day, you're getting regular dosing. So, I'm looking into that. I don't know who would work with me on testing that, but I know people who've done it. But so there's ascorbic acid or there's whole food. Now, you have to look at a label. Like the ascorbic acid that I work with, it's either sago palm, some natural source of ascorbic acid molecule, whereas you can get ascorbic acid that's just thrown together in the lab that we call them coal tar derivatives.
Right.
And to my mind, the vibrational frequency of something that's made with a food would be better than coal tar. Again, that research has to be done. And there are radionics machines. Well, there are machines, a lot of people are using them now where you put your hand on a plate, just that part of a machine, and they'll test you for various body parts or various supplements.
Yes.
So I think, I just have to get in touch with some of those folks and say, well, if you put ascorbic acid, a coal tar derivative, does that have a different vibrational frequency as a natural food source?
Makes sense.
So that's what I know so far.
Well, excellent. And so I know you have the RNA reset. Do you have a vitamin C product?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, I have, what is it? whole C, but I don't know. I'm sorry. I have a capsule of vitamin C. And actually, what's cool about vitamin C complex, because there are 8 factors in vitamin C complex, bioflavonoids you've heard of, and tyrosine is in vitamin C that you get in your fruits and some vegetables.
Yes,
tyrosine is the backbone of thyroid hormones.
Right.
So there's a benefit. So there are lots of benefits to whole food vitamin C. So I will take my capsules every day, and I'll take my ascorbic acid as well. I have familial hypercholesterolemia, and I've never really worried about it. But then I think, well, maybe I could just take high-dose vitamin C. But I also take, this is what Linus Pauling said, and I know we're a little bit off track, but he said, add lysine, and then Matthias Rath, another doctor who worked with him, came along and said, add proline. Turns out that the amino acid proline takes care of the lipoprotein A buildup.
Interesting.
So the 3 of them are what I'm taking, and actually I'm putting them together in a formula, because there's way too much heart disease now since the COVID years. Yeah. Way too much heart disease.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad. And I set you up there. I apologize, but we will, we'll have that link. And I knew you had a vitamin C product. And so I wanted to make sure that people understood that, because I know you do it the right way. I know we may spill the beans a little bit on up and coming rating system for supplements. And I know yours rate very highly and will be included in that. So,
yes.
Very excited about that.
There is a California company that claims to rate products, but their funding comes from drug companies, so they are downgrading products. Yeah. So yes, there is a company that has, I'll give the name because people have said it to me on podcasts. Sure. It's called SUPCO, SUPCO, supplement company. Dr. Mark Hyman, who's well known, I knew him in New York, and he and a group have gotten together, and so far they've tested 700 supplement companies to produce a trust rating. Can we trust them in third-party testing and quality of nutrients? There's about 10 factors that they look at, and we've recently started doing our sports certification for our products, which means extra testing to make sure there's no drugs involved. Nice. And so far, we're in the top 10 of 700 companies.
Beautiful. I love that. So yes, glad to bring a trustworthy source here for everyone. And I use them for magnesium.
Right, Marianne. I no longer just say, trust this face. I can say, no, trust this SUPCO.
Exactly. Exactly. But no, I mean, you have to have something. I mean, there has to be some legitimate backup, I think, for because anybody can say anything, and you would never do that, but anybody can. And so I think it's nice to have that backup a little bit. So, well, we did kind of veer from sugar a bit onto vitamin C, but it's important. I think this goes together. So what have we left out as we kind of crawl to the end of the podcast today? What have we left out about sugar that you would love to share that people need to know?
Yeah, here's something. Did I say this, or was it yesterday's podcast where when all that sugar goes into a cell, if it's not pushed into the Krebs cycle to make energy, it's metabolized by something called the polyol, POLYOL cycle into sorbitol, a sugar alcohol.
Wow, yes.
And that sugar alcohol is too big to get out of the cell. Oh. So it builds up in the cell and eventually explodes it.
Wow.
And it's that sorbitol that people who in the know say, well, that's what's causing peripheral neuropathy.
Interesting.
And we know it for diabetics, but anybody who has sort of tingling or irritation of especially of their feet, they should really look at their sugar intake.
Absolutely.
So I mean, it was just so amazing to me when I found out about this peripheral neuropathy induced by sugar, and the mechanism of it is we increase our sorbitol buildup in these poor little cells.
Wow.
And I just thought that was fascinating.
It is.
We're learning more and more. It amazes me.
Yeah, I'm glad you put that 2 and 2 together for me too, because I know that high sugars cause cell death in the neuron over time, but I did not know that. That makes beautiful sense.
But there's one thing that I've been noticing, because part of my job is listening to podcasts, and then I critique them on my Monday radio show.
Yes.
And there's this young doctor. He's a PhD MD. I won't even say his name, but he's got brilliant information. He'll take the studies and tell you about cholesterol and even lipoprotein A and hypertension. He goes into it all without a mention of nutrients.
Well,
and what they are mentioning is diet. Oh, we have to have a better diet. Oh, ultra processed foods. It's like they're grabbing onto that, well past the stage when food is no longer our medicine.
Absolutely.
So it astounds me how they can spin their tail about these studies and say, well, this metabolic factor and that, and they don't even say, well, magnesium is necessary to make ATP. They're on about calcium. Well, calcium is very important for this and that, and they don't say, well, what happens if you have too much calcium and you don't have enough magnesium? Absolutely. So everybody has to really realize that these doctors who are speaking out now never learned about nutrients in medical school. They are so focused on what they know. They don't know what they don't know.
Absolutely.
And it's so detrimental to those of us in the alternative medicine world, where they'll just push us aside. Yeah. And there'll be studies about how bad it is to take a multiple vitamin and mineral. That was a recent one. Yes. And they won't say, well, actually it's synthetic and it's very low potency and it's coated with shellac and it's really not going to be absorbed. Right. So we depend on trusted sources, right, Marianne?
Absolutely, we do, which we have one right in front of us today. Thank God. I love it. And there was you mentioning that a friend of mine that does a medical podcast sent me an article from, I think there was a New York Post, on how they are now ready to come down on the supplement world, because it is, and we've been taught since medical school that supplements are not needed, not necessary, and even now dangerous. Well, like you said, even drinking too much water at some point can be dangerous. Anything can be, right? But that is the spin that is put on. It's not actually appropriate, because our food supply is not as good as it used to be. I make the statement all the time that what 1 cup of broccoli in the 70s had in magnesium or B vitamins now takes 12 cups to be equivalent, and it's dosing there for those supplements, and we just can't really reach complete dietary coverage of what we need on a daily basis. Most people don't take time to eat anyway. We'll eat 1 meal a day. So I think that we've got to be careful. We've got to read between the lines on many of these publications. But I am so thankful that you have been on today to clarify these things. And I do want people to know where they can find all this information. I will say one thing too. We carry your podcast on the Better Life Network with YouTube. So glad to have you on. Thank you for that support. And so where can people find you elsewhere?
Right. They meaning my team, have thrown me into everything, on X and YouTube, and I guess we're on Spotify, but the basic websites, the educational website with my podcasts and my blogs and my radio show, drcarolyndean.com, drcarolyn with CAROLYN, And the store website is rnareset.com. They have to be separated, Marianne. The FDA said that, well, you can't have testimonials on your website saying their products help people.
Yes.
That a testimonial. I said, what about the First Amendment rights? My lawyer was on the phone at the time, and I heard her gulp. But the FDA won't let dietary supplement companies say their products can help a disease.
Absolutely.
So we have to make structure and function claims, and we have to get to this SUPPCO company's website to start looking at what we can trust, because especially the sports products, they will throw the kitchen sink into their supplements. It's
Absolutely.
very true. It's hard to trust them.
Call them proprietary formulas, so they don't really have to tell you what is completely involved and what is included. So proprietary formulas, please watch out for that wording as well.
Because it's such a huge industry, billions and billions of dollars. The drug companies want to take over. They want to be the ones that sell supplements, but then they'll make them low potency, synthetic, so they won't interfere with drugs. That's the mission.
Yes.
And they will put down dietary supplements all day and all night. Whereas if you look at one of my books, it's called Death by Modern Medicine. Mm-hmm. I wrote it in 2005. I think I updated it in 2017. I documented over 1 million people die, unfortunate deaths from drugs and surgeries, medical interventions, over 1 million deaths. Yep. Compared to dietary supplements, 0 to 1 annually.
Absolutely.
So I don't know where they can say dietary supplements are dangerous.
Right.
And the latest commentary I read on Medscape about dietary supplement labels, and they're expensive. Seriously, my bottle of magnesium at $32 compared to $1,500 a week for Ozempic.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Exactly. Thank you. Oh, it's amazing. Amazing. So
maybe it's a month, but it's 15,000 of even a year is too much.
Absolutely true. And the industry lays the law on me as well, giving the disclaimer that always ask your provider and your practitioner if all these things are appropriate for you, but really they are not prescription and not regulated. And so just pick wisely, pick cautiously. But there's an incredible amount of safety behind the use of the appropriate supplements, this is for sure. So, you know what? You are a blessing. I am so glad you were on again with me today. Thank you very much. And so please check out all of her information on drpbetterlife.com and our previous shows. I love that. Thank you. I love the reaction. And please check, again, our previous shows. We've got Candida and Magnesium and much more. She's got a lot of great books. And so all of that will be included. I'll have that for you. And Dr. Dean, Carolyn, I really appreciate you so much. Any final words?
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you too. Much love and appreciation.
Thank you. All right. Well, everybody have a great week. Please take care of each other out there. We'll see you next time.